So, this video, I'm really interested in your feedback. I want to hear from you guys, particularly those of you who are late teens, early 20s, in college, going to college, or know people in that generation. I am so curious as to why I see this growing trend of young 20-year-old girls who just like they are getting into the femcel stage, or that is to say, these are female involuntary celibates, women who would like to be in relationships with men, or women who would like to have dating experiences, but just don't. And listen, hear me. Y'all know that I am a believer of celibacy. I am a believer that a woman should save herself until marriage. I've talked about that exclusively in previous videos. But I'm seeing this trend of women who are celibate, who are single, who have no relationship prospects, not because that's a choice that they have for spiritual convictions or whatever, but simply because they just don't know how to do it. The opportunity hasn't presented itself, or they've never been approached. We know millennials have had their struggles. It has been going on for quite some time. But what's really interesting to me is what is coming out with Gen Z. And so that's what I want to impact with this current video. I saw this really young, cute 20-year-old woman who wanted to talk about how she's never dated, never kissed, never been in a relationship. Doesn't sound like she's even had a situationship. And is just genuinely confused as to why. And what's even more fascinating is the amount of women in the comment section and, early 20s, mid 20s, late 20s who are having the same experience. And so that's what I want to unpack a little bit today. But I'm very curious if you guys have your own insight, your own anecdotal experience, your own perspective on this. I would love to hear it. But without further ado, let's look at what she has to say and we will break it down.
Is it weird that I'm 20 years old and I never dated? I'm still a virgin. I've never been on a date, talking stage, nothing. See, every time I tell people that, they always act like I'm like some miserable cat lady. And they're like, oh my God, are you okay? Like, what do you mean you never dated? Like, are you kidding? And I'm like, damn, like, is it that big of a deal?
But I mean, 20, she's still pretty young, but also she's not necessarily young enough to get married. If she grew up in a culture or in a family that encouraged that, then she could be of marrying age. So again, it just depends. Notice she's not saying, listen, I'm 20, I'm not dating, I haven't had sex, I hadn't had this because of my spiritual convictions, and I'm looking for something really particular, or I'm waiting on God, or I'm whatever, or my parents are helping me. I know there's still cultures where people still do arranged marriage or things similar to that, where the parents are actively involved in potential prospects. So it'd be one issue if it's that, but you see this young girl who's like, this is my experience, and I actually don't really know why. I'm very confused. I'm seeing more of this.
Okay, here's the reason, right? Okay, for one, I will never approach a man. I'm so sorry. Two, I only get approached by either old men that look married or like children. Like,
I will never approach a man. See, and this is where I have to look to the older generations. She can look to maybe millennials, or even, what is it, Gen X? Who's the one above? Because to a certain extent, she's now experiencing the results of an environment that were cultivated before her time. And so I do believe that there are Gen Zers right now they're pretty much inheriting a super toxic dating environment that they didn't necessarily create. So she has these still old traditional standards of like, oh, I'm not approaching a man. I'm just not. Doesn't really say why, doesn't explain the reason, but she's just not approaching a man. Unfortunately, this is post Me Too, where women actually told men explicitly, if you approached us in these standards, or men who approach us in these standards, or there was such fear around a woman being mishandled and misappropriated, that men got the message that like, we shouldn't approach y'all. Like, we just shouldn't approach y'all. They got that message explicitly in multiple different ways. And so I don't even know if she's old enough to fully understand that, but there were like large systematic movements that encouraged that gave men the message, directly or indirectly, that if they approaching women does not come without risks. And there are so many men who are just completely disengaged because they just don't even want to deal with the risks. It's not even necessarily rejection. The rejection part, some men are willing to handle because they're used to that, but it's now the stigma, and it's now the legal ramifications and the countless unfortunate experiences we've seen of, like, you know, false rape accusations, and the way that women have actually used the fear of SA, or the fear of assault to really try to destroy men's careers. And you would have men who are like, they'd rather err on the side of caution than risk getting in a dynamic that could turn into that. Truly. But these are just my thoughts. If you guys have something different, you can let me know.
15 years old, and I'm just like, I don't understand why is that the age bracket. And that if it is guys my age, they're either what like the wannabe gangbangers, wannabe rappers, like maybe it's why maybe my man is just not down here. Maybe it's in Washington D.C. And also to let's trace back to school, right? So middle school, I was in a predominantly like white school, and honestly, if you were not light skinned with like 3C hair or like white, you're ugly. You're ugly as fuck.
Okay, so you know what let me add to this. I've heard this enough times, or this scenario enough times, to understand what I think some men are going to say. Some men are going to say, no, the men that you wanted perhaps were into a particular kind of woman. The men that you were attracted to. But best believe there were men that you were attracted to, or best believe there were men who were attracted to you, who likely found you attractive, that you just didn't like. I mean, this is what I'm guessing this is what some men are thinking. It's like, okay, so how many men did you turn down? For every man that you think didn't give you attention, how many men did you turn down or overlook in that process? And again, I'm saying this because this is actually something that I've heard over and over again. Whenever I hear a woman talk about how she was rejected or how she didn't get the attention from the men, then the men slide in the comments and they're just like, well, what men or what man? Are you talking about the homecoming king? Are you talking about the quarterback in the football team? Are you talking about them? How about the man? How about the man in your math class sitting right next to you? You know what I mean? So this is something that I've heard. But y'all let me know what you think. Again, I want your feedback.
Like the black guys that will only date white girls. High school, same thing too. Except my high school was a little diverse, but people just deemed me as weird all because I was going to be quiet and I kept to myself. That doesn't mean anything though. Like, I don't know. Like, that was just so dumb. Like, it's not like I was over here tweaking in a fucking corner, going absolutely insane. Like no, like, but yeah, I don't know. I just don't get approached. And if it is like fine shit sometimes, which is very rare, someone that's low key around my age bracket and they like look at me, they just stare.
So listen, so without notice how she said that they are fine. So again, as I mentioned before, I am guessing that there are some men listening to this and being like, it's not that all the black men didn't approach you, it's that the ones that you didn't like, the ones that you liked didn't approach you, and then the ones that you didn't like were interested in you. Because this is a lot of the pushback that I start to hear when you have ladies coming online talking about how difficult it is for them to find guys on their level, or just how difficult it is for them to find men. The unspoken assumption is that they're talking about men that they're attracted to. Because for every woman who complains about that there are men she can't find, there are men who might actually be interested, but they just don't like. Or that just they don't find attractive. And notice she said, oh, the fine men. So the men that are physically appealing to her eye. So again, so we know she has a type. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But I just want to add that caveat in here. It's not that it's probably not that there are guys who aren't interested. It's just, are these guys physically the type that she wants to be seen with? And that's important to understand.
Like, I don't know if I look scary. I don't know if they're gonna get rejected, but it's like, where's the confidence? But like, that whole like staring shit is creepy and I don't like it. It makes you so uncomfortable. It makes you want to get violent with you because what the fuck? What is this? Like, why would I just get up and be like, no, but
I don't really know, but I'm like, you could smile. Like, I wonder, like, does she have a disposition that looks open? Like, are you smiling? Are you giggling? Do you have open body language? Like, particularly if it's a guy that you think is attractive, like, are you showing that you are approachable and that you're not a woman who's going to cuss them out? Or is there the energy that says you're weird, keep out? Like, that stuff can very much make a difference.
Why would I just get up and be like, No, but honestly, too, I feel like I'm not ready for a relationship anyway because anytime I think of like a dude anyway, all I think was like a little, I just want to do a little, and that is it. I just feel like with men that are like up here and I'm like down here, I feel like they feel like they're more superior. Like, oh, I'm not nigga. Like, I got the money. Like, you gotta. No, I don't want to feel like that. I'm one of those girls. I feel like I gotta have my body gotta be teased, skin gotta be clear. Like, I have to be at the confidence. Like, I'm not that confident. So
Okay, then I think she just answered her question because dudes actually they vibe off of energy. Like if you give off wishy-washy energy, if you seem really like confused, like a woman who is actually really ready to be in a relationship and who is like, I want to be white, like she just moves a particular way. And so I think she literally just always already answered her question. And we understand that some of these videos are just for about attention. Like if she put in the comment section, my time will come. I'm honestly more worried about making this bag. This is what gets on my nerves, honestly. This is what gets on my nerves because this is some programming. To me, this is the message Black women have been getting for the last few decades. Like when they are of age, when they are of marrying age, because she is of marrying age. She took the age to where she could get married and have a family and build a beautiful life. She is. She's not too young for that if she was trained to do so. But instead of that, women are like, oh no, I gotta get money, I gotta get the bag, as if men care about the money. Men don't care about the money. They don't. They only care about it if women use it as a way to try to control them or as a way to try to shame them or to try to judge their value as a man. But that's besides the point. It's like you don't, it doesn't have to be either or. And so I think she just did this whole video and answered her question. Maybe she just wanted some clicks. Maybe she just wanted to have a conversation. But if you're like, oh, I don't think I'm really ready, I don't have the confidence, I need to get money, then you're not ready. That's why. I mean, we just like, I could end this video right here, literally. But I want to continue because we're almost done.
have like this vision of me on a date and like I have nothing going on, but the guy has shit going on. Like he's like, oh yeah, I got a business, I got this, that. And I'm over here like, oh, I make content and then work at like a little 9 to 5 and yeah, like I don't want to sound stupid, but I'm just curious why it's only old men. Why is that? Why me? What about me get sugar baby babes? Like
She clearly doesn't have an understanding as to what men are attracted to. She doesn't need to get the bag or get the career or anything before she can find like a really good man. She only thinks she does because, listen, this is what women value in men. Women value careers, women value degrees, they value the social status, they value the money. So that is why, because women are attracted to that in men, sometimes they make the mistake of thinking that that is what men want in women, and they really don't. A lot of dudes don't. Now, nowadays, if you have men who are saying they would prefer one with a career or a particular job, it's strictly because they don't want a woman who's going to try to take out their money and take advantage of them, or because they may want a woman that has certain intellectual capacity. But by and large, most men that I've at least talked to or heard of and spoken with say that, like, whether she worked at McDonald's or whether she was a corporate CEO at whatever, or she was homeless, like, it really has less to do about the woman's job and has more to do about her capacity to be a feminine counterpart. If she is feminine friendly, if she is a good support, if she is cooperative or willing to work with him and be supportive and work alongside him, then it doesn't matter to them if she is making six figures or even seven figures, or if she's just a content creator on the side, pulling a few $100s. Like it's whether or not she's a good woman, a good partner. That really is more important than a woman's degree or job. But women tend to value different things than men do. And so I think one of the biggest mistakes young women think is that they have to get their career to a certain place before a man is attracted to them. And men don't care about that stuff. Like they don't know that. And listen, I'm saying this because I fell into the same trap. But as women, like we're like, oh, what are you? You're okay. What you lawyer? Okay, you're gonna be engineer. You're gonna be doctor. Okay, because you're thinking income capacity. You're thinking what potential does this man have to make money? That's how we think. But men are thinking like that. I think also because men kind of know intrinsically that ladies still want them to be the major breadwinner. Honestly. But anyways, those are just my thoughts, y'all. Just a few things that to consider. But what do you guys think about this whole conversation, this whole topic? I continue to see it. It's probably not going anywhere. I think some of it is genuine. I think some of it is just ladies just wanting attention to get some views off of the algo. But nevertheless, it is interesting. Y'all let me know what you think down in the comment section. Thank you so much for listening if you've gotten this far, and we'll talk later. Bye.